So episode 1. So basically creating a story, an idea, accounting the chronicles through gameplay and actual interstitials of a narrative role-playing adventure. So, of course, one of the key things to start with is a character that for now will remain mysterious. This character is the one that is deeply involved in this story, in this epic that is going along. This character is older. This character used to be the head of an oracle college or an order of oracles that were basically the advisor to the king of the lands. And so I'm gonna just warm up here, starting with my circles. A lot of this will probably be fast forwarded and redubbed over. So just fill up with circles, and I want to just clear them out. Add 2 layers. Using a Cintiq, I'm just rotating my Cintiq to a comfortable angle. So if I'm going to do it straight, I've rotated my Cintiq more so I can do this. So as I am creating these ideas, there we go, that's good. As I'm creating these ideas, I will be also talking about certain drawing techniques and strategies. So this will be a drawing tutorial channel where I'll be teaching a lot of foundational drawing skills, dealing with line drawing, primarily line drawing. So that's what this is about, right? So some of the techniques that I've practiced throughout the years, if not the decades. Line drawing, there we go. That I've practiced throughout the decades are things that I don't even necessarily need to practice as much as I'm doing my work. But what I do find is I will go back on these certain techniques and skills and uses that I'm working with to end up creating a more effective say pose or design that I'm doing, right? And and it's basically the design of line drawing. So there's some certain things, especially I'm going to almost everything I'm going to be doing in this epic that I'm creating is based on bipeds. Doesn't matter what the bipeds are, but it's based on bipeds. And the main foundation behind the concept of bipeds is the idea that we were, if you believe in the Darwin theory, there were 3 types of apes. There were like the monkeys, right? The real small primates, right? There were the medium primates, right? So there comes the medium primates. primates, I guess. I don't know if that's an accurate thing, but as it's going to be dubbed over, we'll call it primates for now, and I'll go and find the actual things that were being used back then. And of course then there were the large ones. And so these sets all lived in the jungle, right? And as they all lived in the jungle, they fought for space. Well, yes and no, they fought for space. What ended up happening was the biggest ones, might makes right, were always bullying the medium. But the smaller ones, they could jump to the trees, they could run, they can dodge, and they can avoid, right? So they had no problem running around and staying out of the way of the big ones, but the middle guys didn't have a problem. And because of it, they ended up leaving the jungle, and they went into the grasslands. There's a bit of a historical thing regarding that. But yeah, they left, and by doing so, what ended up happening was they had to start seeing above the grass. So here's my whatever it be. I don't even know. I'd have to find out if it's Zinjanthropus, Nutcracker Man. It wasn't Neanderthal Man. There's some interesting things on Neanderthal Man too. But here they are walking in the grasslands, and as they are walking in the grasslands, they have to see above the grass because they're worried about the predators that are in there. And so as what they started doing was they started lifting themselves up a little higher, until they could get above the grass, right? And as they did that, they became bipeds. Let me do this because what they, their hind legs, through evolution, their legs became longer. And in turn, they were actually able to clear the grass and see what was going on beyond them. So as they did so, right, let me just get that to there and have this way. They learned how to basically walk on two legs, and we as human beings have had back problems ever since, because it's been an interesting, for lack of a better word, evolution for humans as they started putting their heads toward the stars. So there's certain dynamics involved in that. This leg is looking towards us, many people, as an average, right? And things are basically seen as an average. It's seen as the standard anatomy, and then of course with your exceptions, you're able to caricature and point out those qualities to create certain dynamics that do exist. There's usually an offset at the knee, okay, and there's this idea for just quick drawing, this double bump that happens when we see our leg straight on. But when we see our leg in profile, we actually have something else going on. With the quadriceps, hamstrings, coming to the knee, there's a bit of a different kind of dynamic at hand here. And what's happening is we have more of this S shape, right? And there's some neat little dynamics that will strengthen the design of anatomy, of a figure, of a biped that you're drawing. So if I were to figure out where that Achilles tendon was going to be coming out, and I created this tension, this line of action between the knee and where the Achilles tendon come out, we would then have where that foot was coming out. And as we can see, we're looking at the inside part of this leg. If you always notice, it's very interesting, but there's a little bit of a turn up at the feet, and we have the arch support. So we want to play upon that arch support. Okay, and so again, what we're doing is we're understanding that caricature that we're creating, and by doing so, what we end up having here is we end up having, let's get that up a little higher and that up a little higher. There we go. We end up having the understanding and the rudimentary techniques that we can exploit for a biped. And if you can see here, from my stick figure, right, this level of stick figure, I have proportion, gesture, obviously, thought process. So in other words, process, there we go, right? I have all this, right? And of course stance, right? Like how this person stands, what they're about. But there's a lot of energy in just something even as basic as a stance here. There's deliberation, there's strength, there's a lot going on, right? And this is all happening at the stick figure level. So this is something that if you can really master drawing stick figures, and it's great because you can stick figure a dog, right? Right, you can decide, I don't know if it's going to be a schnauzer or not, but let's go with the schnauzer. It plays upon a lot of the same dynamics where we have the hip coming down, we got the leg going forward, going to the knee, going back to the leg, and then actually landing at the foot that's doing this, right? And then of course we got shoulder to upper arm and lower arm, shoulder, upper arm, lower arm, and then play upon the other way, right? We can now drop that back and have something like this going on, and we can play upon a neat kind of concept of a dog. Probably have to, with most dogs, pull up the knee. They're more in the body, right? But then from there, it's easy enough to go in and throw in the rib cage, right? And all their forms also, and take it to the next level if we wanted to. So with the stick figure, we can get a lot of that down. And many times what I find myself doing is actually creating a park scene, a city street scene, whatever, full of stick figures, male, female, what have you, and everything kind of bases itself around there. So this is kind of like the precursor to a lot of what's going on, and hopefully talking about techniques that are used to help strengthen out the designs that I'm working on. Okay, so I'll keep this one up. I'll just have it as a reminder off to the side here. So something else, this again is the first one, the precursor, the preamble. So you can see I'm using Corel Painter for my intents and purposes, for the fact that I can use this real 6B soft pencil, right? And just with this one brush of the many brushes, I find Corel Painter seems to put more of their energy, the company Corel ends up putting more of their energy to trying to get a closer representation of actual real life simulation, right? Pencil, the oils, the watercolors, whatever it is, they seem to really pull it off, so that's great. So here we are. So I don't know if I want even to call this character I'm making a villain. I do have a character sketch for this character. The things that we do know about this character is that he, okay, so we start off he, Oracle, Okay, he's going to be maybe in his 70s, so he's going to be old, not ancient, but he is going to be old, 60s, 70s. It's nothing that has been decided yet. There's a lot that's going to go into deciding that, and he's going to have that appearance. He may very well be a lot older, and because this is a fantasy-based story, there is of course going to be magic and the supernatural that's being played upon. And I want his archetype to be a white shadow. So, if any of you are familiar with, white, there we go, with the Jungian concept on archetypes that end up getting exploited a lot in visual storytelling and storytelling in general. Here's where with the Jungian archetypes we talk about the shadow. Shadow being someone, an individual that is dark, that usually mimics or does a lot of the same things that the hero / heroes or heroines or protagonists of a story. They do a lot of the same thing. They may shadow them and follow them. They remain mysterious. They remain dark. But I want this character to be a white shadow, so I don't want necessarily the concept of the dark. And it's not just because of the rhetoric and what social commentary is nowadays necessarily, but it's definitely going to reflect a little bit of that, because it's basically the concept of why not have something darker or mysterious be white as opposed to being dark gray or even black. So this is the character. I may want to start with a few head drawings. So because we're playing upon ancient, I'm probably just going to first go with the head drawings. I'm not sure about the body posture. Maybe the body posture would be a better play. So, if they're 80, there probably would be a beginning of the body starting to get tired and hunch over. If we go with the 60s to 70s, there can be still a lot of strength in what's happening. So I'll start with the head. I'm going to make this character slight, so I'll probably go with an oblong shape for the head. And why not, as I was talking about stick figures, play on stick figures. So see where I put the meridian as I'm planning this? I'm already going to change that. I'm already going to go in and I'm going to put the meridian here. So what I have is I have the body going one way and the head going another. So what this also shows is this shows that this character is looking around as whatever business this character goes about, right? So hopefully I'm already playing upon a bit of this character's qualities, the character development, right? So I am going to hunch the shoulders a little more. So we're probably going to have more tired shoulders at least. And then from the neck to the rib cage, if I go and play on my center of gravity, this is going to tell me a lot, right? So let me back up. It's one of the things I love about digital. He's not going to fit on this page as it is right now, so let me just make him smaller so that in turn I don't have my drawing influenced by the size of my page, right? Okay, so oh look, I only have about another 9 minutes, so let's just get this at least this guy's posture and exploration of posture down. So so about 2 heads down is where I'm going to bring in the hips. I'm going to bring in the hips another way, almost like maybe this character is a bit of a walk, has a very simple light gait. The shoulders are hunched, so they almost will become the same width as the hips of the character. Okay, so as we have this character playing upon their weight being on this side, this could be a nice place to come in. I'm going to probably have the leg come down to there. So that's about halfway where the knee will be. And then remember that S shape I was talking about. There it is. And the other one is going to be kind of dragging behind a bit as maybe the character has been walking. And they're looking where they were, almost like this cautious, right? This measuring individual, making sure either no one's following, wherever they're going, wherever they've been, they just want to kind of recap on, right? So what's happening right now, right, is we have this going on. This knee is going to make it quite a bit lower because the hip has dropped the leg up quite a bit lower. And then I'm going to foreshorten this. So this is kind of going away from us. So as it gets foreshortened, it's in my stick figure, I'll just make the bend more extreme because it has a shorter distance to create the same bend, so we can play upon that extreme. And then just have the foot, or have the foot. Yeah, I want to play with that foot, take a good look. Also remember that, you know, again, right, I'll just draw that leg one more time real quick here. Our legs, right, as human beings, right, kneecap and foot coming forward, our legs rotate at the hip. Okay? So that means as wherever our knee points to, our foot points to. We get very little mobility rotation-wise from our ankle and feet. So whichever way our knee points, that's the way our foot points. So if I see my knee pointing here, then my foot is basically pointing the same way. Okay? So I'm going to just pull that up a little higher just so I can get that there. Right? Play upon the foot kind of coming into the air, and then, yeah, creating that what I was talking about before about the that foreshortening and that foot angling back, right? So that's what we're playing on here. Okay, so you can already start to get that feel of what's going on. So now remember, this leg is being dragged back, which means this arm was probably going to be swinging forward. Okay, and this arm will be pulled back, but maybe this arm is doing something. Maybe for now I want to start off that he has some idiosyncrasies, and maybe one of his idiosyncrasies is a bit like a play on Napoleon Bonaparte, or maybe he's always has his hand on his stomach. Maybe not going inside his robes, right? We'll definitely have him in robes, but have his hand going into his stomach. So I'm finding already, just taking a look at this, that this character has a very healthy, youthful quality to him. And this is not good nor bad. This is me deciding, okay, is that what I want from this character? Do I want to portray that? Do I want to maybe just make the shoulders a little more narrow, just to soften up, make the character seem a little bit more sedentary, and then play upon a wider stance to the hips, just to show maybe a bit more of a labor to the walk. So you can see it just plays, it just softens out the character. It doesn't make them as strong, right, as capable. So it's a great way to start, and you know, from this I can play upon a lot. I mean, what do I have? I've got 5 minutes left, so I just wanna have the same thing going on, the same look, but I'm gonna tilt it a bit more. Still play upon that oblong. Oops, I'm trying to push the chin forward and those qualities forward, and then just put the neck a little bit more forward. And maybe it's not only because of his age, but also because of the years of being in books, hunched over. It's like a lot of people with computers, if they're not careful, they'll very quickly start to develop a bit of a hunch over, for the same reason that they're hunched over the computers. Book readers, artists, right, will also have that same thing. I'm going to now bring it forward, but as I bring it back, I just want there to be a bit more of a bend. So there's a bend, which, if you notice, starts to play upon a bit more of an effort, you know, of a struggle, right? Just to walk because of the bend of the knees. Sometimes you do it on very big and heavy characters, so it looks like their weight is really pushing in on them. Well, you can do that with light characters, and if the weight is pushing in on them, it's showing that they're, you know, not as strong as they necessarily would need to be for whatever their to effortlessly hold themselves up, no matter their weight, no matter, right? So, and then the same thing here. I can say maybe even start bringing this one forward, right? So again, right? It's coming forward, but then really dropping back. So you can see a bit more of the feeling of dragging that foot behind. Now remember, this is still forward, 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 so we got this kind of thing. But we're definitely softening up this character a heck of a lot more by doing that, right? Okay, and the same thing. I like the idea that you know, the arm is here holding to his belly. Let's drop it something like this now. Right, take our measures, right, shoulder, upper arm, lower arm, hand. Things don't have to be exacting in proportions. You'll notice there's people that have long arms, short arms, long torsos, short torsos. So there's no reason why we can't be playing upon that. And then maybe something in his hand. He's an oracle. How do I want to play upon that oracle? Does he always have a lot of books? How is he going to be an oracle? Well, he's going to be actually using something. It's like a bowl, you know, instead of a crystal ball. He's going to have a bowl that he pours waters, and mixtures, and such into. So he could have a pitcher in his hand. He could have maybe something almost looks like a scroll case, but could be a little bit more like a tube, right? Filled with, you know, some kind of potion that was created, right? So, you know, so we could do something like that. Oops, let's get that hand a little bit more to the size it needs to be, that he's holding on to, and, you know, making his way somewhere. So he's already looking, there's still strength to him here, and he's still looking old. I may like this because it's maybe playing on his old, but it's also playing on his studious. The fact that he's hunched over a bowl a lot, right? And to play on that, I think would be really nice to toy with. And I'm thinking the last thing I'm going to do, just for now, until I go to step 2 of my exploration of this character, is I just want to shorten his legs just a bit. There we go. Right? I mean, it's not like he's a runner. He's very physical. There's no reason why couldn't still have long legs, but I just find that these shorter legs will probably suit everything I'm going for again a little bit more. Right, go forward, dropping back. Let's get that foot more like that. There we go. Get that line there. Make sure we play upon the return of the line. There we go. So I'm just starting to like that a little bit more. There's almost a bit of a sneakiness to him, which I don't mind also, being that shadow. Okay, so that concludes step 1. And every week I'll be developing. I'll probably be going more than the time I did for this video. They'll be starting a little less, maybe around half an hour. They'll be working their ways up sometimes to an hour, 2 hours. Yet also on top of that, I may start speeding up the actual drawing, so we don't have to go through so much and take so long for that to happen. Great. Thanks.